Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a wrap top with a circle sleeve, and I'm going to be making use of this Ankara fabric that I have here. You are going to need up to like 2 to 3 yards depending on your size and then what type of sleeve you want to make. Okay, so for this one you can either do it on a pattern paper or you do it directly on your fabric. So for this one I'm going to be using a pattern paper because I'm working with a scrap fabric. So here is my back pattern without zipper allowance. So the first thing you want to do is to draft a basic bodice block without zipper allowance because you're going to be starting from the back. Then from here to here is my shoulder. I went down for my shoulder slope. My neck width is 3 inches by 1 inch for the depth. The chest line, then on the waistline I take the waist dart. Then at the back I do not have a zipper allowance because the opening is going to be at the front. Then by the side I have my sewing allowance and my his allowance. I divided my bust circumference into 4, then I added 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. The same thing on the waistline, then I replaced the waist dart. So guys, I'm going to be cutting out this and we're going to be placing this on another piece of paper to cut out the front. Okay, so you want to do it on your fabric. That means you're going to be cutting out the back first, then you place it on your piece of fabric. All right, sorry about this paper, I just quickly want to do something. All right, so now you're going to be placing it, and at the front you have about 5 to 6 inches for overlap because it's going to be a wrap top. It's more or less like a wrapper. That is the effect that it's going to give you. So you're going to place the pattern on it like so, and making sure that you have allowance of about 5 to 6 inches at the front. So I'm going to be marking with my marker pen to have a straight line so that I'll be able to place my back pattern on it. All right, so you can go ahead and do the same thing, and if you are working directly on your fabric you can also do the same thing since you're going to be making or drawing the lines on the wrong side of the fabric. So after that I'm going to pin down my patterns just like you see me doing. So after that, now I'm going to come to this my shoulder line. I'm going to trace out my shoulder line, the armhole and the side because it has to align. It's just the front, the center front, that is going to be different. Okay, so you trace out your pattern like so. If it is a fabric, you trace it out, and on the neckline you're just going to mark the neck width. From the blouse length, you are going to come up by 2 to 2.5 to 3 inches. All right, highest is 3 inches, and from that 3 inches you are going to connect back to the neck width here. All right, so you can do this with a straight line, at the same time you can do it with a curve ruler. All right, so this time around you want to get your long ruler, and if you do not have, just make use of whatever you have, then you connect the line slowly. So I'm going to be connecting this in different ways so that we'll see what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to be flipping this over. This is my back pattern. I'm going to flip it over like so, then I'm going to connect to the neck width. So for you to determine the depth of your neckline, how much more cleavage you want to open, you can make use of your chest line as a guide. So from your chest line you can measure down to your bust point, and you can also go below your bust point, and at the same time you can stop in between your bust point and your chest line. All right, so I'm going to be connecting with a straight line forward a bit so that we'll see the lines that I'm talking about. So here is the bust point line and here is the chest line. So we can now decide on how and where you want your shaping to pass through. So if you want the neck depth to be on your bust point line, or you want to go below your bust point, you can connect it like so. And at the same time you can make use of a curve ruler to just blend it in if you don't want a total straight line. So this connection actually depends on you and what you want, and as you can see, these two lines, there is difference between the two. One is definitely going to expose or open the cleavage more than the other. So that is one thing about the wrap top. So by the time you place the two side on each other, it's going to meet at this center point. And if you want to maintain your chest line, you can easily maintain chest line. If you want to maintain the bust point, and if you want to go in between the chest line and the bust point, you can just divide what you have into two like so, then you are going to connect to that point. What I'm trying to do is just to show us how we can determine our cleavage with our wrap top. Our pattern is ready. We can now cut out our pattern. So if you want to use this first line, it's fine, and if you want to use the second line, you can use it as well. Then do not forget to notch that point where you have your overlap, if it is your bust point, your chest line, or below your bust point. You're going to notch that point. So guys, if you do this directly on your fabric, it's ready for you to cut and sew. Then if it's going to be on a pattern paper like this, you're going to be cutting the back on fold. You're going to be cutting 2 of the front. So guys, I've transferred my pattern to the fabric, and this is what I have. The back is on fold. Then I added sewing allowance to the shoulder and the neckline. Same thing goes to the front. I cut 2 of the fronts because we are going to be having 2 for the front. I added sewing allowance to the chest line area, or the front area rather. I added to the shoulder, the armhole, and also the folding allowance to the top length. Alright, so the side does not need, because I already have my allowance on the back pattern. Remember, we place the back on the front. If you want to line in your top, you're going to cut the lining exactly the way you cut your main fabric. And do not forget, we have a notch here. You're going to transfer the notch to your main fabric as well. So, but because this top is not going to have a lining, I'm just going to be cutting a facing for the front. The facing is going to be about 2 inches wide, or 1.5 inches wide, and at the same time, if you have a bias, your ready-made bias, you can simply use your ready-made bias to turn it. And as for the back, I'm going to be cutting a facing for the neckline as well. So that one is going to be about 2 to 3 inches wide. And you can also use a bias tip to turn the neckline. Then as for the hem of the top, you're going to be folding in our 1 inch allowance that we added when we are transferring the pattern to the fabric. But before that, I'm going to be marking out my waist dart. Remember, we have waist dart on the back pattern. I'm going to mark out the waist dart like so. Then I'm going to notch that point. So this will help me when I want to sew the dart. So after this now, I'm going to proceed to my sewing machine to sew my darts, turn the neckline. Then I'm going to repeat the same process for the front. So guys, I'm done with that. As you can see, I have my dart and I already turned the neckline with the facing. So what I'm going to be doing next now is to hold this facing down by using my hemming gum or hemming stitch. And as for the front as well, I already turn it with my facing, then I fold in the facing a bit just to secure the edge of the facing. So for the 2 sides of the front, remember we are going to have 2 for the front, which is going to overlap each other. So I turn the neckline, and this is what you're going to have if you turn it. So I'm going to fold it in once again and use my hemming gum to secure it in place. Guys, I'm done with the front, and I left this part because I'm going to be fixing the rope there. So that is why I did not sew it up to the end. I'm still going to use this fabric to secure the edge, after which I had joined my rope. So we are going to be cutting the rope later. Then I did the same thing for the other side of the front as well. As you can see, I did not finish my facings. The next thing I'm going to do now is to place the back pattern on the front pattern. I'm going to join the side, then I'm also going to join the shoulder. So here is the rope that I'm going to be attaching. It is about 39 inches long and is 2 inches wide, after which I've finished sewing it. So you can decide on how wide you want your rope to be. Okay, so I'm going to be attaching the rope here, and that is after which I'm done with everything. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place the back pattern on the front. I'm going to join the shoulder, then I'm going to join the side using the same allowance that I added earlier. So I had joined the sides together, and this is what it's going to look like. So before I fix my rope, I'm going to be turning the hem of the top. You can either fix the rope before the hem of the top, or you fix the hem of the top before the rope, anyhow you prefer. And then as for the sleeve, I'll be dropping a link to the video of how to cut and sew a circle sleeve. Please check the description box, because I don't want this video to be too long. That's why I did not finish it up here. Kindly check the videos. Thank you. I'm just going to turn the hem of the sleeve. I'll secure the edge of my sleeve with a weaving machine. Then I'm going to turn in 0.25. I'm going to sew it down. So you can secure your sleeve with either your bias, or you just fold in the hem. And at the same time, if you are going to be having a lining on your sleeve, then that means you are automatically going to be turning it with your lining. So the next thing now is to open one side of your top about 2 inches or 1 inches wide, depending on how wide your rope is. So you're going to be inserting it. Instead of you having your rope coming out from the top length like this, you're going to open one side, and that is where you're going to be passing your rope through. So this will make it easier, and it will help you maintain the length of the top, because if you have to be bringing out the rope from the top length from the inside outside, is going to be folding that side. So if you are going to be passing through that line, it's going to be easier. So just like this, I already opened up the side. Make sure you top stitch the beginning and end of the stitches. Then you're going to bring out the rope by the side like so, and you wrap it around your back. So this will make it easier for you to secure the edge of this one that is coming under, and you're going to be placing this other one on it. So guys, that'll be all for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching up to this moment. If you are yet to subscribe to the channel, please, what are you waiting for? Click on the subscribe button now, click on the like button, click on the share button, so that we can reach as many people as possible. If you have a video request, you have a thought, you have a suggestion or observation about this channel, about this tutorial or previous tutorial, kindly drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to have them. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell so that whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first person to know. Till next time we meet again, bye bye and take care of yourself.